It's not the first time Michael Jackson has been credibly accused of sexually assaulting young boys. Far from it. But the allegations in the new HBO documentary, Leaving Neverland, are the first against Jackson in the Me Too era. They're gaining wide traction. In the film, Wade Robson and James Safechuck, who were 7 and 10 years old when they first stayed with Jackson at his Neverland compound, shared detailed and often graphic accounts of years of abuse.
Secrets will eat you up. You feel so alone.
I want to be able to speak the truth as loud as I had to speak the lie for so long.
Before leaving Neverland and their first public accusations of Jackson in 2013 and 14, Robson and Safechuck spent more than a decade publicly defending him, including on the stand in a trial brought by another young accuser. But despite the repeated allegations, Jackson and his family continued to deny all claims of abuse. And since his death in 2009, the estate has made more than $2 billion from adoring fans who continue to celebrate his music.
These people don't even know Michael. They know Michael Jackson, the amazing musician. But as a man, as a human being, he's hurt people.
So there's the artist and the alleged abuser, but can we really separate the two? It's a question Boston Globe columnist Renée Graham posed in a recent column titled, "R. Kelly is Canceled. Is it time to cancel Michael Jackson?" She says yes, by the way. Good to see you, Renée. Thanks for being here. She, along with attorney Mitchell Garabedian, he's represented thousands of victims of sexual abuse at the hands of the Catholic Church. Good to see you, Mitchell. Phil Saviano, a church abuse survivor and the founder of the New England chapter of SNAP, Survivors Network of those abused by priests, who just got back from the Vatican during the Church's Summit on Clergy Abuse. Phil, it's good to see you, too. I want to start with you. One of the things that I thought the filmmaker did so well is juxtapose the stories told by one survivor with another, the eerily similar, the grooming stories. Did you see and feel things that felt that familiar to you?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, the thing that I related to the most was the process of them coming to terms with it as an adult. When they finally realized that they were taken advantage of when they were children and that some of the emotional problems that they were having were directly related to their childhood. I watched the Oprah interview, I watched the second half of the documentary, and I've been in a fog ever since because I really felt a lot of common ground with those two very brave men.
Speaking of common ground, Mitchell, Safechuck says, I'm just wondering if you've seen these things, Safechuck says he still blames himself. As I said a minute ago, both young men lied for years to defend Jackson, and then their parents in total denial. And here's one of them, by the way, James Safechuck's mother, on how she says she was fooled by Michael Jackson. Here she is.
We couldn't believe that he would want to hang around us in this tiny little house. He could be anywhere with anybody in the world, and Michael wanted to be with our family. This was all so overwhelming and like a fairy tale, and I got lost in it.
Kind, he did wonderful things for lots of wonderful people. He's the superstar, but it didn't seem to me to be that dissimilar from the average man doing what Jackson did to young boys and girls.
It was similar. I mean, if you look at the Catholic Church, Michael Jackson was the religion. He was the celebrity. The altar boy was the victim child. The parents were fooled. They were in awe of the religion too. And where were the supervisors? Where were the people watching Michael Jackson? And that it's very similar.
But were they, when you say they were fooled or they chose to be fooled? I mean, the sense I got of these two mothers who were interviewed relentlessly throughout these 4 hours is they went out of their way to believe that Jackson was perfect. And it's not that odd that a grown man asked my son on the second day he's met him to sleep in his bed in Neverland.
Just like the Catholic Church, just like the religion. They're in awe of the religion. Anything for the religion. We'll allow this to happen because Michael Jackson, the priest, can do no wrong. They're in awe of him, and they're living vicariously through their children. They're so proud that their child is an altar boy. They're so proud that their child is working with Michael Jackson that they're blinded to everything else.
You know, I am so glad that you admitted your hypocrisy, because I was feeling so bad myself in the privacy. I mean, you say things like James Levine's work, gone from your shelves. Kevin Spacey, gone. You go down the list of people, but not Michael Jackson. Was it the trailer for this that finally did it for you? What did it?
It was the sort of revival of the R. Kelly accusations. I've been writing about them, and I've always thought that R. Kelly was, in fact, guilty of the things he was accused of.
You didn't need to see a documentary.
Didn't need to. I mean, I remember when the rumors that he'd married Aaliyah, and then there was a marriage certificate proving that they had gotten married when he was 27 and she was 15. That was 1994, so the accusations had been around for a long time. But it hit a certain point where I just said, why do I not feel this way about Michael Jackson? You know, those accusations have been around since 1993, and somehow I kept kind of working my way around it. And it wasn't that I didn't believe his accusers, I just decided I wasn't going to think about it.
You know, I told you in the green room, and this is so embarrassing, I deluded myself to the point, I used to be a huge Woody Allen fan, that I could watch a Woody Allen movie if he wasn't in it, but only directed it. But I wouldn't watch a Woody Allen movie if it was just, I want to return to something. I want to get back to the artist thing in a minute, but it was something you said. One of the things that struck, I thought the documentary was really powerful and well made, with one exception, that those third parties, those enablers, the Jackson staff, all these other people left out of this. I've quoted Quentin Tarantino about 10,000 times in the Harvey Weinstein thing, where he said, I knew enough to have done more than I did. All these people, when you see the video of Jackson in every setting with a little boy, hand in hand, rushing into the hotel, rushing into the concert, I mean, everybody knew, right?
Who was watching the priest? Michael Jackson. Similar to the Catholic Church cases, going back there again. The mother would be in the next room because she worked at the parish, and the priest was molesting the child.
Mothers were in the next room here, too.
Yeah, exactly, except when they got moved further away from Michael Jackson, and there were red flags all over the place.
You don't have to raise your hand here, Phil. We're just right. No, I'm serious.
Well, here's my take on it. Michael Jackson was offering those mothers an entree into the moneyed world of the superstar. And what the priests were offering was an entree towards salvation.
You guys both see the parallel as deeply as you do.
Yeah.
You?
I think that there are a lot of parallels.
I saw it in an instant. The first time I watched it, I said, there it is right there.
How do you come out on the issue that Renee wrote about? I mean, we've talked, it can go back hundreds of years. Picasso was an abuser, a serial abuser in psychological and physical ways of women. I don't know many people who are not looking at his work when they go to a museum. How does one decide where the unconscionable acts of an artist cause you not to want to view or listen to their work? You know what I mean? Where is that line?
Renee and I were talking about this in the green room, and I think that you can't deny Michael Jackson's music genius.
So do you listen to it?
Well, you can listen to it from a new perspective.
Would you listen to it?
Yeah. In fact, coming over here in the car, I was humming that song that I used to really take a lot of inspiration from, "The Man in the Mirror." And you look at the lyric now. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. What was he saying when he looked in the mirror? What did he say?
Deval Patrick once told me it was his favorite Michael Jackson song. I wonder what he thinks now.
Michael Jackson was a genius in more ways than one. He was a genius at manipulating children.
So can you watch or listen to somebody who you know has done
disgusting.
You can't.
It's pitiful. It's disgusting.
So you're not where he is.
I feel as though these predators have to be stopped. They have to be stopped. I've seen so much of it. And the only way to shut them down is to take action to shut them down.
So zero tolerance. Are you a zero tolerance kind of person now that you've done the Jackson conversion?
I'm trying to be. I think the thing that got me when I watched the documentary was watching how Michael Jackson groomed these kids, groomed their parents, but he groomed his fans as well.
Yeah.
And that's where I fall into this. And something that occurred to me was after Michael Jackson died, someone, I think it was Liza Minnelli, said, that wasn't Michael's real voice. Michael actually had a deep masculine voice. But that's not what he portrayed in the public. In the public, he was an innocent. And that's what we latched on to. And that's what his victims felt as well, and their parents.
You know, your column, obviously, R. Kelly was the first half of the title of your piece. Here's a little bit of this interview that everybody's talking about with Gayle King this morning.
I have been assassinated. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career.
Why did so many of us who knew in our heads what he had done and what Jackson had done have to see a documentary about Kelly and a documentary about Jackson to make the final cut?
You didn't want to believe it.
Why?
Because it's so inhuman and it's so painful. You didn't want to believe it because everyone feels as though they might be a little responsible.
We only have 30 seconds left, my apologies, but can you give me 25 seconds on what happened or didn't happen in the Vatican when you were there last month?
Yeah, they had a 4-day summit with the top bishops from all over the world, over 100 bishops, and what they've decided to do is create a handbook for bishops so that they'll better understand what this issue is all about. Isn't that great?
It's not, is it?
No.
They needed an awareness
It's appalling
conference.
is what it is. But
glad you were there, Phil. Phil, it's good to see you. Glad you're here tonight, too. Mitchell, as always.
Thank you.
Renee, thanks. Colin was fabulous, by the way. Thank you so much.